Hello and welcome to today's video, Sunday the 17th of May 2026. And what a week it's been. Well, more than a week really, hasn't it? But where do we begin? Let's begin with Starmer, eh? Since Starmer lost Max Sweeney and that Tim Allen, is it? His communications secretary, have you noticed he's not got a clue about anything? Doesn't know what to say, how to say it, and who to say it to. All he can rely on is things he's previously said, which he thinks won him the election. No. What won him the election, was people were fed up of the Tories, which allowed Labour to win. And if you look at their local elections, Reform was where Labour was in 2024. No one could believe what Labour was doing. So, boom, Reform came in. The Greens got a few seats, but all these seats, they were just seats of can't think of the word, but there was like annoyance votes. They didn't want to vote for Labour because they couldn't stand Labour winning local councils, for the simple reason is everything that Starmer came in and his promises, he reneged on all 10 of them, which is why he parachuted in over 100 MPs into safe Labour seats, because if anyone has watched my channel and you've seen the death of democracy, I explain quite well that Parliament is nowhere near the Parliament that I remember. No one has anything to say that concerns anything. Anyone who says anything untoward or out of order, or anti-Semites, you're a Putin apologist, you're this, you're that. Well, no, we're not. This is the whole idea of democracy. Democracy is not like in America where you've got Trump playing the king, yeah? Starmer wants to play the king. That's why he brought out a 10-year plan. I believe, and I would say approved it by my videos from January about Starmer. Where did he come from? Yeah, he was a civil servant, the director of public prosecutions. But as I said then, he was only there to protect Prince Andrew. You might think, oh, you're off your head. Well, I'm not, because then Epstein got arrested in 2005. Then photographs was available between 2005 and 2008. Starmer got his job in 2008 along with Mandelson. And Mandelson got a job, basically the trade secretary, and was caught passing documents to Epstein. Now, although he was classed as sensitive's just another word for a secret. And I know that Gordon Brown only employed Mandelson out of respect for Tony Blair. And when he got caught doing that, it was obvious that the paperwork would have gone across Starmer's desk. Now, I believe that Starmer, with his relationship with Sherry Blair, because he worked with her for 10 years at a barrister's chambers in London, and I believe the two of them brought about the EHCR into British law, which is ridiculous. Starmer took the British government to court in 2002 and won the right for immigrants, illegal immigrants, to receive benefits and receive housing, or the equivalent, which is hotels. Now, for someone who's a Prime Minister, how can he go against them? You know, their policies that he helped implement. So there's no way on this earth he's going back on him. So Starmer will in no way help to deport illegal immigrants. Now, Farage, that's the only policy they've got. What policy have you got for the economy, to grow the economy? What, by allowing all his rich mates, along with his £5 million donation and the £12 million donation to Reform, so that they can run the next election. People don't give that kind of money away for nothing. So you can see West Streeting brought Palantir into the NHS, yeah? All our police services, you know, when people get arrested and they take the phones, well, Israeli intelligence companies, they're the ones who break them, who collect all the data and information, and it's all stored in data centres in the Middle East. Now, if you happen to be on someone's phone contacts, they've got access to your phone. They can switch on your camera, they can switch on your microphone, they can basically do anything they want, because they're not beholden to the British government, they're beholden to Israel, which is where Starmer comes in. Why he declared himself Jewish, Jewish. If he declared himself Jewish about a month ago, why didn't we hear about it sooner? Why didn't we hear about it when he got married to his wife? She's Jewish, the children are Jewish, but he's definitely not Jewish. And check out his stance against anti-Semitism. There is 350,000 Jewish people in this country. And yeah, they've suffered a few hate crimes. But what is the actual definition of an hate crime? Someone who calls you horrible names, yeah? How did he know you're Jewish? You know, maybe it's the way you're dressed as an Orthodox, you know. Maybe what's happening in Palestine brings out the worst in people. I can't really comment on that. As I said in my last video, from an anti-Semite. I don't really... The Jewish people have never had any impact on my life, so I have no reason to dislike them as individuals. As a government of Israel, yeah, I completely disagree with what they're doing in Palestine, and now in Lebanon and Iran. The fact that people think, you know, Israel has a right to defend itself. Yeah, it does, which means securing its own borders. Doesn't mean, you know, invading countries and expanding its borders. For me, that is half the reason why such a big thing is made out of anti-Semitism. I think a country of 10 million people like Israel needs immigration for it to expand, and the more it expands, the more influence it holds. But Netanyahu is going to prison. The minute he comes out of office, he's in court and he's going to prison. So the only reason he has for these wars is to stop himself going to prison. He wants a legacy. Now, I've spoke about this in previous videos about the legacy of prime ministers and presidents, and that the incoming president or prime minister doesn't want to really ruin the previous incumbent's legacy. But in Netanyahu's case, it has to. His legacy is one of evil. The man is evil. In fact, he's not evil. He's just committing atrocities so that he doesn't go to prison. Now, whether you believe it or not, that's the case. Yeah? It's like, I believe Donald Trump thought he was guaranteed to win the 2020 election. And when he lost, that's what happened on January the 6th, where he wanted to, yeah, he stole the election, raided the Capitol, and that's what happened. Nothing happened to him, you know. Nothing happened to the people who was on microphones, you know, telling people what to do. Nothing happened to them, which goes to show you American law and what it's for. And when Israel controlled major parts of the Congress, the Senate, and even the cabinet, including the president, then basically America stands no chance. Its constitution means nothing. And then let's get back to Britain. Yesterday, Saturday the 16th, we had Unite the Kingdom march with Tommy Robinson. Now, I said this in the anti-Semite video, since he's been under the radar with no publicity, the rise in anti-Semitism has grown because Islamophobia, it's gone, but now it's back with a vengeance. So anti-Semite, well, not anti, but anti-Semitism now will decrease. But the more atrocities they commit in Palestine, in Lebanon, in Iran, it might not decline. I'm not saying it will increase, because he's been doing these things for a couple of months now, hasn't he? So I assume they will just stay the way they are. And like I said, they've already proven that some of these arson attacks on the ambulances, on Iran International, which is a monarchist entity, which is only one goal, and that is to destabilise Iran from the inside. And it has been the death of hundreds, if not thousands, of Iranian people just for following their instructions, and it's terrible. I don't see how a country of 10 million people can control what goes on in the entire Western Hemisphere. Now, again, in previous videos, I mentioned about the gas field that's just been discovered in the Levant. Well, it's called the Levant gas field, and none of it's in Israel. It starts kind of Syria, Palestine, Lebanon, and goes right out into the Mediterranean, but within the 12-mile jurisdiction which guarantees Palestine, Syria and Lebanon. It is theirs, but it's only theirs if Israel doesn't partition them. And it's got no resources, Israel, not one single resource. It has got brains, and it's got a lot of start-up businesses, and it also has a lot of think tanks, and it also has a lot of, you know, companies that help Western police forces combat anti-Semitism. The Jewish communities in Britain, they have their own police forces. They patrol areas predominantly Jewish, and they maintain their security. But apart from that, there's nothing. I mean, check out Commissioner Rowley about the marches, and Starmer about the pro-Palestinian marches. They've already tried to proscribe it as a terrorist organisation. Why? Because a couple of people have shouted some obscene things. Well, that doesn't make it right, does it? That is now a terrorist organisation. What about Antifa? That should be a terrorist organisation. It may be in America. Don't think it is over here. And again, it just seems one thing after another. Now, how bad is it the Labour Party when they have to bring in someone who's not a member of Parliament, and then someone to stand down in Makerfield, Josh Allen, I think he's called. He was a member of Labour Together, which was Mac Sweeney and Allen and Starmer's secret organisation to elect him as the leader of the Labour Party. And when he won it, he started off by expelling everyone from the left and the soft left. So that means we have no one protecting our interests. Now, what are our interests? Decent money to live on. Yeah, free council housing. They don't spend nothing on the roads. They say they're investing in the NHS, but how much was the contract worth with Palantir? Palantir, what does that mean? Facial recognition cameras in hospitals, yeah? Facial recognition cameras outside hospitals. It just seems to me that for such a small country, we are being overridden. And then we have the likes of Zelensky, a dictator, ban the Russian language, ban the Russian Orthodox Church, will not even resort to negotiations on ending the war. You know, he's carrying on this war because Europe wants to go to war with Russia. Why? Because it's in the same boat as Israel. It's not got a single resource. So it wants to conscript millions of men to go and fight a war against Russia. Yeah? They're doing everything they can to provoke Russia into striking European soil. Now, if it did, it wouldn't invoke Article 5 of the NATO agreement. You know, people think that, oh, if you attack another country, then everyone comes together. No, it doesn't. The 29 countries have to debate it in Parliament. And if it turns out that what you was doing was to provoke Russia, then Article 5 will not be invoked. So, again, everything that's going on in the world, all the badness that they're saying, you know, Iran, oh, the regime's not terrible, kills thousands of people of its own, you know, through nothing, because of nothing. You've got Russia, they say, there's no free speech, there's no democracy. Well, I beg to differ. I've never been there, and I'm certainly not a communist, and I'm certainly not an anti-Semite, but I see things for what they are, and I will call them out. And I will call them out all at once. And you can't cherry pick from what I say things that, oh, well, that's wrong, that's anti-Semitic, or that's pro-Russian, or that's this, because it doesn't work that way. I disclaim to cause harm, injury or upset to any member of the British community by what I say. I just try to inform you. Fair enough, I might be not the most knowledgeable person in the world. I might not have the face for video. I don't even think I've got the voice for radio, but I try my best to say things as they are. Now, if people, I mean, how many people was at the march yesterday, United Kingdom, all against Islam? Now, why isn't that organisation banned? Because that's a narrative that people want, you know. As I said, 350,000 Jewish people in this country do not or should not direct policy by government. Yeah, it seems you do. Yeah? You have numerous intelligence-led think tanks about anti-Semitism in Europe, in Britain, in Australia, in New Zealand, all over the world. The people are anti-Semites, but we're not. We're not anti-Semites. Again, I don't believe 350,000 people should determine the policy of the United Kingdom. It should be the 20, 30 million white people that determine the policy. You know, we're a Christian country. Now, Muslims, they want to, can't think, just let me think of the name, Sharia law. They want to introduce parts of Sharia law. But our law system goes back hundreds, thousands of years. Well, 1,000 years at least since the Magna Carta. And yet you've got Starmer wanting to do away with jury systems. Can you imagine it? Hey, without a jury, what chance have you got of proving your innocence? It's like the Proceeds of Crime Act. The Proceeds of Crime Act is one judge deciding if the money that you have was gained illegally or legally. Why is that the case? Why doesn't a jury do it? Because they know with a jury that the Proceeds of Crime Act would just disappear. And that's the same with everything. Now, I don't really like bringing all this up, but it's about time someone did. You know, people bring out individual parts of things, but Starmer became Prime Minister after 10 years after joining the Labour Party. Yeah? 10 years after joining the Labour Party. I would say he was promised a knighthood if he protected Prince Andrew. Now, because it's all legal, we would never know if America wanted his extradition or wanted to question him. Yeah? But Starmer would have put a block to it. That's why he was defending Abiy Wamsa from extradition and a number of other so-called terrorists that ended up in America receiving full life sentences in other countries around the world where they was sentenced to life or maybe death, I'm not too sure. But when these people commit crimes in other countries and then come here for protection, it's not our job to protect them. It's our job to make sure that they face justice. You know, if I do anything wrong, I face justice. And I know hundreds of other people who've done things wrong and face justice. But again, the country we live in is not the country we lived in 10 years ago, 20 years ago, you know, 25, 30 years ago. I remember proper diplomats. The peace agreement, do you think the Northern Ireland peace agreement was arranged and sorted out in days? No, it took years. It took absolutely years of proper diplomacy, including American diplomats, English diplomats, Irish diplomats. And one last thing before I go. If you want to give islands away, like the Chagos Islands, and pay people to move in there, why don't you give Northern Ireland back to Southern Ireland? Eh? If you did that, that'd be a vote winner. You know what I mean? Because how much money does Northern Ireland cost us in the long run? I'm not saying that we shouldn't have it, but that deal was reached in 2021, 2022, maybe 2023, and I'm on about 19, 21, 22, 23, through negotiations, and Britain wanted them 6 counties. Yeah, they got them. But do you think maybe it's time to give them back? Hey, they're no use to us. You know, look at the problems they caused when we left Brexit. And Southern Ireland is still in Europe. Eh? So again, maybe it's about time we all did the right thing. Yeah? I think it started yesterday with United Kingdom. Let's see if the government take notice. Yeah? Let's see if you do want to unite the kingdom. Uniting the kingdom is the only way to ensure that we do end up with democracy. And again, I've already said it's just a word, because that's how I feel. But let's see if you can change the way I feel, eh? And thousands, tens of thousands, and even millions of other people feel, eh? And maybe helping us will help the Jewish community, will help the Asian community, will help the world in itself. Let's see. Eh? Anyway, that's me for now. So take care. And if you like this video, please subscribe, share, and like. And maybe we can get somewhere. Maybe we can build up a bit of a following. Not that I'm bothered. I'm just glad to have my say. So, take care everyone, and I will speak to you soon. Bye-bye.